All right, let's tackle a huge topic in HR today: digital transformation. Now, this is a process that's just brimming with potential, but honestly, it's also a massive pitfall. We're going to explore why it's not really about the fancy new software, but about mastering the human side of the whole equation.
Does this sound familiar to you? Your company spends a ton of money on some shiny new HR system that's supposed to revolutionize everything. But, a month after launch, you hear crickets. It becomes a digital ghost town. Your managers are still stuck on their old spreadsheets, and your team is just getting flooded with complaints. It's a super common and really painful problem.
So what's the real culprit here? I mean, it's easy to point fingers at the software, right? To say it's clunky or it's missing features, but the truth is, the technology itself is hardly ever the real problem. The actual point of failure, well, that's almost always something else entirely.
And this right here just nails the core issue. The common mistake is getting totally lost in the tech. The features, the integrations, all the fancy dashboards. But the real solution, the thing that actually makes it work, is focusing on your people. At the end of the day, it all comes down to getting employee buy-in and bringing them along for the ride. This is exactly where the idea of change management becomes your superpower. It's basically the structured process of guiding your team through this kind of transition. And what's the goal? Well, it's to lower resistance, boost engagement, and, this is a big one for the business, get a much faster return on that huge tech investment.
So how do you actually do it? Okay, let's walk through a really practical 5-step playbook that's designed to get your entire team on board and, dare I say, genuinely excited about the new system.
Okay, so here's the playbook we're going to break down. It all starts with the why, giving people a real reason to care. Then we move to the who, getting the right people involved. From there, it's all about execution, communicating like crazy, providing smart support, and finally, measuring your progress to make sure it all sticks. So let's dive into step 1.
Step 1 is absolutely crucial. People will only get on board with change if they can see what's in it for them. So don't just talk about company-wide efficiency, you have got to connect the dots to their daily work and show them the real personal benefits they're going to get.
Now, this is such a great example. See how this uses storytelling instead of just listing a feature? It's so much more powerful. A message like this instantly shows a tangible benefit. It's not about cloud storage, it's about getting a huge chunk of your day back. Who wouldn't want that? Okay, once you frame the benefits, step 2 is all about bringing people into the process. A huge mistake companies make is designing a new system in some isolated HR bubble and then just dropping it on everyone. To avoid that disaster, you have to involve your key stakeholders right from the very beginning.
So, who are these key people? Well, it's not just your HR teams. You absolutely need managers. They're the ones who will ultimately reinforce this. And you need the employees themselves to make sure the system actually solves their real-world problems. And here's a fantastic pro tip: appoint internal ambassadors. These are your enthusiastic early adopters who can test things out and become the most authentic champions for the new system.
All right, on to step 3, and this one is a biggie. A single email on launch day is not a communication strategy. It's just a memo. To get real adoption, you need ongoing, clear, and just relentless communication across a bunch of different channels.
And just like we saw in step 1, use stories. Sharing real employee success stories is incredibly effective. I mean, when other managers hear that Sarah got 2 hours of her week back, they're suddenly a whole lot more interested in learning how they can do the same. It makes the benefit real and relatable.
Okay, let's move on to step 4, training. Look, even the most intuitive software in the world needs a little bit of guidance. But a one-size-fits-all approach, like one long training session for everybody, is just a guaranteed recipe for failure. You got to be smarter than that.
This slide really captures the difference perfectly. Bad training is that one long, dull session that nobody remembers 2 days later. Smart training, on the other hand, is a layered support system. It gets the different people learn in different ways and they need help at different times. It meets them where they are.
So what does a layered approach actually look like? Well, think short, easy-to-digest video tutorials, like under 5 minutes, for quick tasks. Maybe a chatbot for instant answers to common questions. And this is crucial, a designated go-to expert in each department, someone people actually feel comfortable asking for help.
And that brings us to our final step, number 5. Your job is not done at launch. In fact, in a lot of ways, it's just beginning. The best companies are constantly tracking their progress with real data. That allows them to adjust their approach and optimize everything for success.
So, what should you actually be tracking? Well, focus on 3 key areas. First, user adoption rates. Are people even logging in? Second, employee feedback, which you can get through quick pulse surveys. And finally, tangible productivity improvements, like hours saved or a big reduction in errors.
So when you follow these 5 steps, what does success actually look like? It's not just a fuzzy feeling. You can see the payoff in real, hard numbers. Let's take a look at what that return on investment can be.
The first thing you'll see is a dramatic shift in adoption. Numbers like this, 85%, they aren't just a metric. They are proof that your human-first approach is actually working. It shows that people get the why, and they feel supported, and that leads to a massive win right out of the gate.
And that high adoption rate, it translates directly into tangible business results. A 30% drop in administrative requests means your HR team is suddenly freed up for more strategic work, and your employees are more empowered. This isn't just a number. It's a fundamental shift in efficiency. This is the ROI you get when you focus on your people. So as we start to wrap up here, let's just circle back to the central theme of this entire playbook. The goal of HR tech isn't just about upgrading your systems. It's really about upgrading the employee experience.
And here it is, the key takeaway. Your goal should always be to make digital tools work for your people, not make your people work for the tools. Technology should be an enabler that makes work easier, smarter, and more efficient for absolutely everyone.
And that leaves us with one final question for you to think about. Look at your own digital transformation efforts. Is your strategy truly built around your team's needs, or is it actually built to serve the technology itself? The answer to that question will pretty much determine your success.